Purge all of it. Purge the booze from your house, purge the access to pornography, those people that you're following that don't make you feel good about who you are and how you're showing up. I don't care if you're quote unquote supposed to follow them. Even me, if you follow me and every time you see something I post and you wonder to yourself, why don't I have what Ryan has? Block me, delete me, unfollow, unsubscribe. Create systems, create processes. If you want a resource on that, go look at James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Men, today I want to talk with you about being less insecure as I talk with men who listen to this podcast, who send me messages and send me emails, and even the interactions I have on a daily basis with people in proximity to me. It had become readily apparent that there are a lot of men who are very insecure. They're insecure with the relationship they have with women. They're insecure with regards to their finances, to the way that they feel, to the way they show up. And the problem with being insecure is that you are less relevant as a man. Not only are you not showing up fully for your family, for your kids, for your clients and colleagues and coworkers, but you also feel inferior. And it's likely that if you feel any sort of insecurity in your life, you're not achieving the level of fulfillment, satisfaction, and purpose that you desire. So I want to talk with you about 5 things that you can do that are maybe a little not counterintuitive necessarily, but that you may not obviously know, that will help bolster and improve your level of security and comfort with yourself. This is very much in alignment with our concept of sovereignty, which is being free of financial constraint, of emotional constraint, spiritual constraint, the dictates of others, the whims of the doctrine of popular culture, and making decisions for yourself and on your own. So without any sort of other announcements or anything like that, let's get right into it today. And I can tie some resources that we have into it. Number 1 is, men, we need to become financially free. We are enslaved to debt. Most men are enslaved to creditors. We are at the whims and the mercies of the markets. We're at the whims and the mercies of what our employers may or may not do. And some of us will say, well, you know, my job, I have a secure job, or I don't have a secure job. It's deeper than that. It's the fact that if your boss makes a dumb decision because he's an idiot or a moron, that you are actually subject. Your financial prosperity is subject to the decisions that he makes. Are you okay with that? And if you don't have money in the bank account and you don't know how to manage your finances and you don't know how much money's coming in versus how much is going out, and you have no discipline regarding your spending or your purchasing, are you really going to be secure with your life? Of course not. Of course you're going to be uneasy. Of course you're going to be frustrated with your lack of financial provision. Of course, you're going to play the victim card when financial opportunities pass you by because you're not in a position to take advantage of them. And look, I'm not casting stones. I've been there. I've been in situations more in my life where I wasn't making any money. I couldn't even rub 2 nickels together. And then every time I saw somebody else succeeding financially, I thought I was the victim. I thought it was at the expense of somebody else, or people were getting theirs and I wasn't getting mine. And what I realized is that's not the case. I was just not making great decisions. Now, granted, if you're young, sometimes it just takes time to build wealth, and part of that is a factor of the equation. But unless you know where your money's going and you're prudent with your decisions and you're intelligent about how you deploy your financial resources and not acquiring debt and not paying for unnecessary things and not living a lavish lifestyle that you have not yet earned, of course you're going to be uneasy. I think it's better that you don't go spend money, that you don't do the lavish trips or the lavish purchases and vacations and the expenses that come up. You don't need to impress me. You don't need to impress your family or your friends or colleagues or coworkers. Most people just don't care. And even if you show up with that new $95,000 truck, people are going to think you're cool for about 20 minutes until they get wrapped up and consumed in their own lives. And here you are burdened with an $800, $1,000, a $1,200 car payment. Think about that for a second. A $1,200 truck payment? Bro, that's a mortgage. Like you could find a property and buy it with $20,000 and create some additional revenue and rental income, and you spend it on a depreciating asset, something that cost you $95,000, and the minute you drive it away, it's now worth $75,000, and then you paid $105,000 for it because of interest, and then when it's all paid off, it's now worth $25,000. In what universe is that a prudent decision? Of course, it's not a prudent decision. It's a dumb decision. Be smart with your money. Be smart with your economic resources. And by the way, the more intelligent you are with those resources, the more that you're going to develop and build those resources, and the more abundance and prosperity will be given to you. All right, number 2, you need to be physically fit. We talk about this all the time. You have to. Get your diet in check, get your nutrition in check, get your sleep in check, be training on a daily basis. I do strength training. The last 3 weeks, I've been doing a bit more running because I'm dedicated to participating in some running events later in the year. But I train every day. And I've even got a treadmill back here that when I'm on phone calls throughout the day, I jump on my treadmill and I get my steps in because training is important. I wake up at 5:30 every morning. I go train. I go work out. I go get my run in. And because it's important. It's important that I can use my body. It's important that I do something difficult early in the morning. It's important that I show that level of discipline to myself. And when I do, not only do I look better physically, but I just feel better because I showed up and I did what I said I was going to do. And that's the bottom line. Men, all of you know to work out. You've been listening to this podcast, some of you for 10 years now, and have heard me talk about this ad nauseum, and yet some of you don't do it. And you'll question, why don't I feel good about myself? And by the way, it isn't about how you look. I mean, sure, that's a component of it, but it's the work that you do. The way you look is just the inevitable result of the work that you've done. So if you're overweight, yeah, you're carrying 45, 50, 60, 100 pounds extra on your body at all times. Of course, you're not going to be very secure with who you are. Your clothes aren't going to fit right. You're going to worry about what people think of you. You're not going to be interested in approaching women. You're certainly not going to be interested in initiating sex with the woman that's in your life because you're worried about how you look, and you're worried about how you feel, and you're worried about the way that she might perceive you. And probably for some of you, she's not off base. And that terrifies you, and it ought to terrify you. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? The answer is get yourself in check physically. All right, number 3, dress and look good. And whenever I say this, I'm always met with a bunch of guys. These are losers. These are guys who don't think their appearance matters. These are guys who don't understand the value of influence. These are the guys who live in fantasy land but don't really deal in reality, that say, well, the way I look shouldn't matter. Well, it does, okay? Like, you can complain about the way you look, and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I wish more people were accepting, and people shouldn't judge. Like, that's all fairy tale bullshit. The reality is people judge. People are looking at you. What are you wearing? How is your beard groomed? Like, what does your hair look like? What does your style and your fashion say about you? What is the way that you communicate say about who you are? How are you presenting yourself? What does your vocabulary look like? What is your cadence and tone and pitch? How clear are you with your message? All of this stuff matters. And if you say it doesn't, you're either lying or you're leaving a lot of room on the table for influence. And all of us as men should be developing influence. I actually want to be influential. Now, some people might say, well, that's not a virtuous, you want to be influential. I can't believe you, like, because they think it's some sort of external validation for me. No, it's not. It's the fact that I care about people. The more influential I am, the better off that I can serve people. And not to be blasphemous here or even compare myself to, but if you take somebody like Jesus Christ, I don't think he would disagree with that. Christ would suggest that we all develop a level of influence, righteous, moral influence, so that we can bring people to lead and live a better life. Isn't that what you want? And so if you mope around and you show up in sweats at the airport and you go to your job with wrinkled clothes, or you have maybe you're a professional, maybe you're a CPA or a physician or an attorney, and you show up in a pair of jeans and a wrinkled old gross polo shirt. Do you think people are going to take you seriously? And also, are you going to take yourself seriously? I had a coach, and I've shared this many times on this podcast. When I was in high school and we were playing baseball, we always had the best uniforms, the best of the best. Every year it was a new uniform. We as players were required to pay for them and or raise funds to help ourselves pay for those or help other players who needed to pay for them. And we always had the newest and the latest and the greatest uniforms. And we always looked awesome. And our coach would say, if you look good, you play good. And that's true. If you're lean and toned and strong and you're wearing clothes that are intentional and deliberate regarding the message that you want to communicate to people, and you're dressed for the occasion, and you're respecting and honoring the places and circumstances you find yourself in, of course, you're going to feel better about yourself and you're not going to feel so weird or insecure. Have you ever showed up to a party underdressed? Tell me how you feel. You don't feel great. You feel awkward. You feel out of place. But if you go dressed, not to the nines, I'm not saying you need to wear a 3-piece suit everywhere you go, but if you have the right attire and you're respecting the environment that you're in, don't you automatically feel better about yourself? And when you do, what kind of conversations are you having? What kind of connections are you making? What kind of relationships are you forging? Of course, better ones than showing up to the gala in sweats and Crocs and an old baggy t-shirt that's wrinkled and is full of holes that you've had for the past 25 years because that shirt is good luck. Don't do that. Take care of yourself. Look good. Look the part. Honor the people and the circumstances you find yourself in front of. All right, number 4. I said remove insecurities here. A little bit of a circular logic, but let me tell you what I mean. What I mean is that there's vices that all of us have. Maybe it's alcohol abuse, which it has been for me in my past, in my past several years. Maybe it's pornography addiction. Maybe it's addiction to social media. Maybe it's an addiction to certain people that you compare yourself to and you feel inferior when you see those people. Purge that. Purge all of it. Purge all of it. Purge the booze from your house. Purge the access to pornography. Those people that you're following that don't make you feel good about who you are and how you're showing up. I don't care if you're quote unquote supposed to follow them. Even me. If you follow me and every time you see something I post and you wonder to yourself, why don't I have what Ryan has? Block me, delete me, unfollow, unsubscribe. I don't really want you to be insecure because you happen to be following me or Joe Rogan or Jocko Willink or any number of people that even I follow and sometimes catch myself falling into comparison trap against. There's people that I've just purged. I've just blocked. It's not anything against them. I like them. I think they're doing great things, but I don't feel good when I see their stuff because I am comparing myself to them. I wasn't feeling good when I drank because I knew I should be doing more. I don't feel good when I'm lazy or when I sleep in or when I slack off or I eat a bunch of junk food around the house because I know that's not in alignment with the kind of man that I have a desire to be. And some people might say, well, it's weakness. You can't just fight against those temptations. Why would I do that? Why would I purposely introduce temptations into my life, whether it's pornography or alcohol or bad food or bad people, just to prove that I'm capable of fighting against it? That's ridiculous. That's silly. The best thing that you can do is not have to use any sort of brain power to fight against these things, but just not to allow those temptations into your life at all. When I don't have alcohol in the house, that's a pretty good thing. When I'm not tempted by pornography, that's a pretty good thing. When I'm not tempted by people that I can compare myself to and fall into a comparison trap, that's a pretty good thing. When I'm not spending time with losers and people who get me to feel sorry about myself or my station in life, that's a pretty good thing. So I'd rather deal with it ahead of time than have to deal with the willpower required to fight against the things I know are not conducive and constructive to my own well-being. Create systems, create processes. If you want a resource on that, go look at James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. And I can't remember exactly what he says, but you know, everybody talks about motivation as not being a superior way of getting what you need. And I would agree with that. And most people say discipline is better. I think it is better than motivation. At least it lasts longer. But even discipline is fleeting. We know scientifically, it's been proven through studies that our willpower is like the gas tank in a vehicle. The more you drive, the more gas you burn. And the more you have to exercise willpower, the less you have of it until you're able to recharge or refuel. So why would I exert a bunch of willpower on doing or fighting against things I know I've committed to not doing? Just create systems. And then I can take that willpower and deploy it towards something that's going to help me be more secure and produce greater benefits for myself and the people that I love. And then number 5, being a man of conviction. To me, being a man of conviction means that you're willing to do what you say you're going to do. Are you convicted in your beliefs? So if you say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., are you a man of conviction or are you a liar? I've been both, and I am every day. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. Every day, I'm a little bit of a liar and I'm a little bit of a man of conviction. My objective and my goal is to be more of a man of conviction than I was yesterday. So if I say I'm going to wake up at 5, damn it, I'm going to wake up at 5. If I say I'm going to follow through on a task or an email or a commitment or an assignment or a letter or a podcast or whatever it might be, then damn, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that gets done. And when I fall short, and I do, I make amends. I apologize if other people are affected by it, and I recommit to the standard of conviction. The more that I am in alignment with myself and the more I hold myself accountable and the more that I honor my own word and do not betray myself, the more secure I am. And the less relevant other people's opinions of me become. And isn't that the point? I want to be a sovereign man. I don't want to be subject to the whims of other people. I don't want to be subject to the way people might ask me to sacrifice my own principles and values. I don't want to be validated by my kids or a woman or a boss or my friends. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in knowing that I'm doing all that I can do to be the man that I want to become because I know what that looks like. And I'm doing these 5 things. I'm financially free. I'm physically fit. I'm dressing the part. I'm looking good. I'm removing the insecurities and temptations in my life. And I'm working on becoming a man of conviction. When you do that, you will be unstoppable. For those of you who have self-esteem issues and confidence issues, this is the way. This is the path. Simple, not always easy. Simple. Do these 5 things daily. How are you becoming more financially free? Are you paying off debt? Tracking your money? Refraining from buying things you don't need? Did you work out? Did you train today? If you didn't, go do it. Are you dressing and looking good? Are you working on your vocabulary? Are you working on your wardrobe? Are you working on your grooming? Are you seeing what's in trend and what's in style? Or are you just completely oblivious to it and you don't give a rat's ass about it? Are you shutting off the temptations in your life? Are you acknowledging what you're susceptible to? If you can't acknowledge that, you can't shut it off. Be honest. Is it porn? Is it substance abuse? Is it certain people, certain behaviors, access to the internet? Like what's the issue? Whatever it is, figure it out. And then come up with a plan to remove that temptation. And last is be convicted. It's easy to run our mouths and spout off about things we want to do. It's significantly harder to actually do them, but that's what it means to be a man of conviction, that your actions are aligned with your words and thoughts. I hope that serves you guys. If you have other thoughts on this, please let me know. Shoot me an email, shoot me a direct message on Instagram at Ryan Michler, Michler, and also share this. If there's a friend that you know who's struggling and having a hard time and needs to improve in his life, then share this with him. And hopefully together you can become more secure, which ultimately means that you'll be able to serve more people in your life, and that will lead to a path of satisfaction and fulfillment in yours. It's purpose. And isn't that what we all want? To feel valuable, to have purpose, and to serve other people. That's the core of what it means to be a man, at least from where I sit. All right, guys, we'll be back next week for our interview. Until then, go out there, take action, be less insecure, and become the man you are meant to be.